Howdy folks, Jamboree here. Ariana Grande is one of the biggest pop stars around today. Her best known songs are Thank You Next, Into You, and God Is a Woman. She's released 5 platinum albums and has 2 Grammys under her belt. Grande also dabbles in acting, her most famous role being the Nickelodeon character Cat Valentine.
Is it eating tuna fish on a Ferris wheel? Because I did that once and I threw up on a bird.
But there's a part of her career that many people overlook, her dubbing work. In the early 2010s, she lent her voice to the English dubs of a few foreign language animated projects. One such title was Snowflake, a Spanish live-action/animated hybrid movie based on a real-life albino gorilla. Grande was the voice of the title character in the film's English dub. Unfortunately, it's a really bad movie, and I'm going to dive into why. Snowflake is an albino gorilla who lives with a girl called Wendy. However, Wendy's parents say that Snowflake is getting too big to stay with them, so the white gorilla is taken to live at the zoo, where she meets 2 black gorillas called Elvis and Petunia. Sadly, Elvis and Petunia's dad, Anvil, despises Snowflake for looking different. When Snowflake discovers that a witch lives nearby, she teams up with Jenga, a red panda who identifies as a cat, to go find the witch, in hopes that this witch can turn Snowflake's fur black. Meanwhile, a crazed man called Dr. Archibald Pepper is after Snowflake's heart because it's the key to his immortality experiment. Before anything, I want to make it clear that I'm only going to be talking about the English version of this movie. So most of my criticisms will be directed towards the US dub. The first and perhaps most noticeable problem with this film is that the CGI animals look really terrible. Each one is poorly rendered, animated with cheap stiffness, and lacks creative fluidity. To make things worse, there's hardly any effort to make these characters naturally blend into the live action. Sure, there's lighting effects and shadow mapping, but there's a lack of depth to everything, and characters stick out like sore thumbs. So we can't completely believe that Snowflake or any of the other animated animals are sharing the same screen as the human actors. Heck, there's actually a scene where we meet a zoo mascot dressed up as Snowflake, and I buy this cheesy costume more than the CGI Snowflake. Oh, and the opening titles feature cute 2D animation that's way easier on the eyes. Why couldn't the whole movie look like this? The English dub makes things even more awkward, because the recorded dialogue is distractingly out of sync with the animation.
Oh, great. You made me lose focus. Now I gotta start over.
Enough of your crazy ideas, Jenga. The only thing we're gonna start is walking.
Well, excuse me.
I've seen Godzilla movies with more realistic dubbing. No, really. Don't get me wrong, I know that dubbing live action is very, very, very hard, especially if you're dubbing over a foreign language film. But it's like this dub isn't even trying. The actors sound so confused, lost, and rushed that it's like hearing actors improvising a dub as they go along.
Come back here, let us out! I'm gonna try and break the window. Well, that didn't work.
Hey, I don't like that fan.
Uh-oh, I think I broke it.
I mean, the English dub features such experienced voice actors as Keith David, Christopher Lloyd, and David Spade. Yet you wouldn't believe that these talents have done voice acting before, because they sound so out of their game.
Ah! Ow! Keep it down! Darn Neanderthal, I'm trying to meditate here.
Christopher Lloyd's casting is especially weird, because Lloyd has a very distinct voice, and we're hearing it coming out of this Spanish Charlie Chaplin.
Hey, kitties! I know you, girlie. My daughter's been watching you on TV. Will you autograph this for her?
So what about Ariana's voice? Does she sound okay? Well, I think she does a decent job at capturing the innocence and youthfulness of Snowflake, but she does sound a bit too quiet, and her delivery seems unconfident.
It's just, back with the fake gorilla guy when he was hanging out with all those kids, he confused me.
Those kids just want to laugh at us.
I think this can be mainly blamed on the direction though, because I've listened to Ariana's voice work for Winx Club, and she sounds okay. Not great, but okay. She has a nice sounding voice that can be used well under the right direction.
Sky thinks that Bloom is prettier than me. That's just ridiculous. Who are you? How did you get in there? What are you doing here?
Okay, so the technical side of this film is bad, but what about everything else? Well, it's all rather uninspired. When you put aside the noticeable flaws of this film, you're kind of left with a rather boring run-of-the-mill kids movie. For starters, we roughly spend the first half an hour in the zoo, as we wait around for something to happen, all while Anvil bullies Snowflake for being albino. Anvil is a grumpy bigot, we get it. Can something else happen already? When Snowflake and Jenga finally go on their adventure, it's a very underwhelming journey. They find the witch pretty easily, she hands over the potion without any fuss. And then we spend the rest of the film watching our heroes taking on the villain through tired Home Alone style slapstick.
Come on, hurry!
Let's go.
See ya, Cream.
Excuse me? Your aura's way too cloudy, boy.
Time it up, Snowflake. Now you're mine.
Speaking of the villain, talk about flatter than a pancake. This is one dull bad guy. He has threatening moments, but his character leaves a lot to be desired. He's a researcher of the dark arts who's obsessed with living forever, which is a great basis for a sinister yet tragic villain. Yet he has no interesting reason why he wants immortality. Heck, most of his evil monologues are just whiny rants about being bullied as a kid or not having any friends.
I'm tired of your fun behind my back. You don't say Dr. Archibald's a cool guy. No one invites me for wine and cheese at their house.
Yeah, that fits the film's theme of being an outcast for being different, but it has nothing to do with his quest for eternal life at all. We never get an insight into his fear of death or what he'll gain from living forever. It's a motive for the sake of a motive.
Hey, look what I have. A pound of salt, helpless cries of a little girl. Thank you. That's good.
Okay, so what kind of message does the movie want to teach? Mainly that it's okay to be yourself, which is a good lesson for children, especially albino children who want validation. I just can't say that the film does anything special with said message, and it's mainly told through preachy lectures, rather than Snowflake learning firsthand.
When are you gonna wake up and smell the coffee? Just because Snowflake's different, Brian's different, and he's not gonna change because he likes himself.
And when Jenga is a pretty bad role model for kids. Look, I'm totally down for a children's movie having a cheeky comic relief, but this guy sets a poor example to kids. He has a habit of randomly meditating, which is harmless when he's at the zoo, but sometimes he meditates at the worst points, even while characters are being attacked by the villain.
Purify the soul, the body will follow. Huh?
Disaster area.
Ooh, you know, I might be missing out on some stuff with all this purification.
He also steals money from the witch to pay for her service, which pushes the story forward, but he never faces consequences for his theft, and the film just lets him get away with stealing huge wads of cash. There's two romantic plots in the film as well, and both of them are pretty rubbish. First there's Elvis and Snowflake, a love story that's very contrived, and lacks development because Snowflake leaves the zoo for half the film. Then we have Wendy and a boy called Brian. Brian is deeply infatuated with Wendy, but she doesn't feel the same way. Despite the constant rejections, Brian keeps trying to woo Wendy, no matter how uncomfortable it makes her. The film could have used this plot to teach kids about respecting boundaries and accepting rejection, but nope. It decides that Wendy has to learn to give Brian a chance, because the movie wants to use Brian as yet another example of how weird people can be misunderstood, and nice people deep down. Now, yes, Brian does demonstrate a nice, helpful side throughout the film, but no one should owe you romantic attention just because you do nice things for them. Not to mention, Brian isn't just a quirky boy with a silly personality. He's kind of a creepy stalker.
Oh, hey, Wendy. Fancy seeing you here.
To conclude, Snowflake is one of the worst live-action / animated hybrid films I've ever seen. It's tediously dull, disappointingly unimaginative, horribly animated, and terribly dubbed. Sure, kids will look over a lot of the film's technical flaws, perhaps have fun seeing cartoon animals goofing around, and maybe laugh at the slapstick against the villain, but I can't say that it's a great choice of film to show kids, because its morals are misguided, and children deserve much, much better entertainment as an audience. So have you seen Snowflake? If so, let everyone know your opinion on it in the comments below, and don't forget to click that like button. I've been Jamboree. Cheerio, folks.